ਦ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਦੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਨਿੱਘਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹੋਸਟ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ, ਸਰੀ, ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ, ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਤੋਂ। ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਸ਼ਖਸੀਅਤ ਦੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਵਾਉਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਸ ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਨਸਪਾਇਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਵੇਅਰ ਦੇਰ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਵਿਲ ਦੇਰ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਵੇ। ਅਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਮੋਸਟ ਇਨਫਲੂਐਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਵਿਜ਼ਨਰੀ ਐਂਡ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਆਫ ਇੰਡੀਆ। ਤਰਨਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਆਨੰਦ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਹੋਣਗੇ। ਆਓ ਚਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਭਾਰਤ ਤੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਦਾ ਸਿਲਸਿਲਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। Tarundeep Singh Anand ji, Jayanu, Sat Sri Akal, good evening, how are
Sat
you?
Sri Akal. Very well, Sat Sri Akal. Great to be on your show.
Thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure having you. Wonderful. Tarundeep ji, you are said to be the most influential, visionary, and prominent personality of India. You are the founder of Universal Business School. ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਇੰਟਰਸਟ ਇਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਪਿਆ? ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੈਂਕਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਆਪਣਾ। ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ, ਕਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਅਪਬ੍ਰਿੰਗਿੰਗ ਹੋਈ ਤੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਇੰਟਰਸਟ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਵਾਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਪਿਆ।
Hanji, Zarur. So I grew up in Mumbai and I did all my education here. And then I moved to do my MBA as well from SP Jain Institute of Management Research. Started my career as a door-to-door salesperson in banking and financial services. Spent some time there, then moved to Standard Chartered Bank. They worked in the whole retail banking, business financial services, then decided I wanted to try something new and went into treasury. With that, I moved to Thomson Reuters. I had, accelerated pace of growth in that middle career, if I may say so. I became the head of South Asia for Treasury Services. Then I got a call from London where I had to manage the British Treasury business of Reuters, which was 20x of South Asia. So that was a great opportunity learning. A couple of years later, my boss picked me up as the youngest global CEO of the treasury business, which was running a $2 billion business in 136 countries. So learned a lot. But there was this flare of starting to do my own business. So I said, before I jump into the world of business, let me try and see, take an idea to the management of this $40 billion company and see whether they will back me up. So I was fortunate that my idea to create the world's first FX exchange was bought by two boards. So it was a joint venture between Thomson Reuters and based out of New York headquartered, and the Thomson Reuters and Chicago-based Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So both these $40 billion corporations, we got to the board, we got $90 million funding to create one of the most unique platforms for foreign exchange trading. So built the business up in Europe with my colleagues in US, and then I said the challenge was to go to take this business to Asia, and I put up my hand and I said I'd like to build the business in Asia. So I landed up in Hong Kong, where I had to build offices in Tokyo, in Sydney, in Singapore, Southeast Asia, and a lot of business through China. So that was the foundation and the confidence builder for me that I can, I can do it. I can take the money, build a business out. And then I got called back to the mothership, which is Thomson Reuters, to come back to India because I chose to come back to India for setting up Universal Business School. So I decided to, take this opportunity and do two things while setting up the school. At the same time, to essentially run the Thomson Reuters business in South Asia. So that was my journey of setting up a B school. It was exciting for me because it was social entrepreneurship, and it's all about giving back to society, which was a great opportunity to shape the minds of the future, and bring them up to speed so that they can add value to the society and the planet. So it's not just profit, but it's planet and people.
Wow.
And that was the essence of creating Universal Business School, India's first green business school in Mumbai.
Wow, wonderful, excellent. That's a wonderful, background what you have shared with us, and it's very inspiring. Generally, Tarunji, what happens is once you are in your comfort zone, you generally don't think of jumping over to start your own business when you are, like you have told, you were, all over the world and you were a well reckoned face. But in the 90s, when you started and you said door to door, you started. When you started, did you have that kind of thinking that you're going to reach this position someday? Because generally, we have high hopes and we have high aspirations, but many times we just get succumb to our comfort zone only. So, what was that inside you that prompted you to just keep on going and going?
So, firstly, there was no aspiration whatsoever to be, going even leaving the country because I'm just zero point 0.0 interest. But I think at the early stage, I'm a sports person and I love sports. So, sports teach you a work ethic, which is really, you just cannot get off the field, right? Till the last whistle, whether it's a football match or I played rugby for, Bombay Gymkhana and represented India in the South Asian tournaments. So whatever sport I've played, the essence is you got to keep at it till the results is not in your control, but just keep at it. Just don't give up. And I've also, one of the things I realized at an early age, I have a lot of people go to the gym to build their muscle. I go and say, you got to build your risk muscle. And that's what I did. I kept taking risks with my career. I changed from hardcore banking to foreign exchange, which I did know nothing about, and from foreign exchange to transaction platforms, which I did not know much about, and from transaction platforms to education, which is like a different world altogether. So I like
Right.
to throw myself in, and then with the back to the wall, you've got to swim.
Well, that's a very important word you have used, risk muscle. Now, the question arises is that not many, take those risks and challenges to further propel themselves to go further. Was there some inspiration? Was there anybody whom you took as an idol, whom you were following? And how did this all happen? Or were you getting some kind of coaching from someone?
No, I think I found my idols in the books. So I read a lot of autobiographies. When in my 12th standard onwards, I was reading autobiographies of Akio Morita, who built Sony, to recently Elon Musk. Of course, recently not so good news, but all the way from Alibaba to Microsoft story to everything you Kim Woo Chong of Daewoo. So those stories, or Richard Branson
Right.
series. So all of these stories, I think, somewhere go into your psyche, and you get certain ideas. And I think that was a foundational piece, which you keep seeing these guys and you see the amazing stuff you've done. So when I say I speak, sometimes, it's a CEO of a multinational speaking who has made billions and trillions of money. So it's some of those nuggets get into your bloodstream while reading. So that was mine. Of course, there was Narayan Murthy I looked up to, and Mr. Ratan Tata. These were two Indian influential leaders.
Wonderful. Tarunji, it's time for a short break. We'll just go for a short break. We'll be back and we'll continue with the discussion. Generally, when you reach the pinnacle of success, you generally say that, you reached here without facing any trials or tribulations. But once you started, what kind of challenges you went through and how did you overcome those? We'll learn from you after this short break.
हर रंग है साडे को हर मॉडल हर एक दी अपनी वक्री पहचान ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਕਰਮ ਹੈ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਾਉਣਾ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਨੂੰ ਸੌਖਾ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਬਸੰਤ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕਰਕੇ
है जुल्म ढाने का अंदाज भी कितना हंसी हमारी जान पर बनाई है जब जब उसने अंगड़ाई ली कभी खामोश रहते हैं कभी शोर होता है मोहब्बत में शरारत का मजा कुछ और होता है दिल को जज्बात का तोहफा खामोशियों को बात का तोहफा खूबसूरती में जड़ी नजाकत अदाओं की चांद से मुखड़े को चांद सा तोहफा
भारत ज्वेलर्स सच्चे प्यार की चमक जैसा पाई बिजनेस सेंटर सरी
ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਰੀ ਡੈਲਟਾ ਰਿਚਮੰਡ ਐਬਸਫੋਰਡ ਜਾਂ ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵਾਂ ਘਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਤਜਰਬੇਕਾਰ ਬਿਲਡਰ ਇੱਕ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਿਵ ਇੰਟੀਰੀਅਰ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਰ ਦੀ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਗਾਈਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੁਪਨੇ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਉਸਾਰ ਸਕਣ ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਜਾਂ ਸੰਦੀਪ 6048259295 ਉੱਤੇ
ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਰੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਨੇ ਤਰੁਣਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਆਨੰਦ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਨੇ ਮੁੰਬਈ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਟਾਈਕੂਨ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨੇ ਫਰਸਟ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਫਰੋਮ ਸਿੰਪਲ ਹੰਬਲ ਬਿਗਨਿੰਗਸ he is at the top today and is a visionary in business. ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਇਹ ਫਾਊਂਡਰ ਨੇ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਲ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਸਕੂਲ ਦੇ। ਆਓ ਇਸ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ let's once again get back to him and learn from his life as to, especially if you want to be successful in business, what are those qualities or ingredients which you need to adopt so that you can be successful. So Tarundeep Singh ji, once again welcome, and like you have talked about your journey, that's really phenomenal. But was it that you were lucky that you kept on climbing the stairs, or there were some hindrances also? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈਗੀ ਏ ਉਹ ਸਮਝਦੀ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਇਨਸਟੈਂਟ ਸਕਸੈਸ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਏ, ਓਵਰਨਾਈਟ ਸਕਸੈਸ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਉਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜਰਨੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਏ ਮੈਨੀ ਟਾਈਮਸ ਵੀ ਫੋਰਗੇਟ ਐਂਡ ਆਰ ਫੋਕਸ ਇਜ਼ ਓਨਲੀ ਔਨ ਦ ਡੈਸਟੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ। What was it about with you?
So I can, tell your viewers one thing. I've made a million mistakes and a million failures, and the reason I'm sitting here is because of those. Each of those mistakes has shaped my thinking, shown the resistance. So from the first, as I said, door-to-door salesperson, you're getting doors slammed on your face. Ik ke baad ek, the door hits you. You ring the bell. Good morning, thard. So when you face that rejection, some people break. It was tough. And then you find the way to get through the door. And I found a technique that would allow me to get through the door, which is, before the door was getting slammed, I put my foot inside the door. And then I'll fall and say, mainu lag gaya hai. Then the person is feeling bad ki why such a young kid is fallen. And then I said, mainu ek cha chahiye. And then by the time the cha was made, you get yourself 3 to 5 minutes to do the sales pitch. And it was Ghanti Fall Pinkilla Chai Sale, Ghanti Fall Pinkilla Chai Sale. So, never give up, just at it, relentless at it. And, I'll tell you about my probably biggest failure was, the company I set up, I didn't complete the story, and I got recalled to the mothership. This was 2008. I was in Hong Kong. The financial markets, as many people know, went down. We were reliant on the biggest banks like Lehman, Bear Stearns, AIG, Morgan Stanley. All of these customers were in a very bad shape. 2-3 banks went under, 2-3 got taken over, and 2-3 were just about barely survived with, certain amount of funds. So the entire business model crashed. Now I'd lost, $90 million for my company. I mean, near that number. And you would think, this is a recipe for disaster. And I kept saying, I'm done with the financial markets. And my boss, who is the CEO of Thomson Reuters, he said, no, that loss was an investment. Now you're wondering, balance sheet utte loss is one side, investment is a different side. How is he saying it? And he kept mentioning it. And then when he gave me back took me back to become chairman and managing director of Thomson Reuters South Asia, in a few years' time, I made that money up for him in terms of revenue and so on. And so now I realize many years later that every loss is actually an investment, because if you've learned from that loss, that value should not be given away either to a competitor or to another business. So take every loss as an investment that, you've learned something and you're going to give back in the process. So failures are going to come. Build your risk muscle. Doesn't matter. It's a learning journey. It's a fun journey. There are no shortcuts to success. And back to the lucky point, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Absolutely, no doubt. And I also had the honor of working with Reuters as a correspondent in India. I was based in Amritsar at that time, and I used to cover during the terrorism period. I used to work for your wonderful company. Great. So as you have mentioned that, you need that grit and determination to succeed, and that was evident in you. Are you from a business background that this was instilled in you? Many times it's said it's in your genes that what you are doing, and that's what you succeed in. Or it was just, as you said, you were determined and it kept on happening.
So my background is both my parents were, have taught for 30 years each. My father was, of course, in the corporate world as a junior executive, and he made his way up the ladder like I did in the corporate world. But we were from service class, no business whatsoever in our DNA. It was just work ethic and the constant learning. The other aspect is the, you fail, you learn. And that's what accelerated. So that learning is a very, very important piece. So you can never stop learning. And even at this age, I'm now thinking for which is the next course I'm going to enroll myself in.
ਵੰਡਰਫੁਲ। ਇਹ ਬੜੀ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਐਂਡ ਸਿੱਖ ਤਾਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਦਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹਦਾਇਤ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਐਂਡ ਵੀ ਨੀਡ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਕੌਨਸਟੈਂਟਲੀ ਅਪਗ੍ਰੇਡਿੰਗ ਆਰਸੈਲਵਸ ਇਨ ਵਾਟ ਐਵਰ ਫੀਲਡ ਵਾਟ ਵੀ ਆਰ ਵਰਕਿੰਗ ਇਨ। ਵੰਡਰਫੁਲ। ਸੋ ਲੈਟਸ ਕਮ ਬੈਕ ਟੂ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਲ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਸਕੂਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸਟੈਬਲਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤਾ। ਸੋ ਤਰੁਣ ਜੀ, ਇਹ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਇਆ ਐਂਡ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਯੂ ਕੁਡ ਹੈਵ ਸੈਟਲਡ ਐਨੀਵੇਅਰ ਇਨ ਦ ਵਰਲਡ, ਯੂ ਨੋ, ਦ ਕਾਈਂਡ ਆਫ ਵਰਕ ਦੈਟ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਡੂਇੰਗ, but what attracted you back to India and you started with this school, and what all is being done in this school now?
So it was clear to me that I want to give back to India. I'd got a lot out of India, so my entire education was India. My foundations were India. So I really had this deep down need to give back, and I think that again comes from the service background of the seva background, which we as Sikhs are very proud of. That when you do your langar seva, you're just giving back. It's not about taking, it's about giving back. So that really was clear that I want to come back, and my Karam Bhumi is here. Even though I had worked in 60 countries around the world, I said, "Nahi, I need to come back." So that was what got me back. Now, coming to what we do is, the whole ambition is to create leaders. How do you impact the society? How do you impact the world around you? So one way is you do it yourself. Now, obviously, one person, and I believe in the power of one. Imagine that one multiplied by 700, tomorrow 7,000, right? If you have those people, you ingrain them with the right value systems. And for us, it's ethics, experiential learning, and environment. We are very, very pro on these three pillars. So if I can get that going, then I have hundreds and thousands of students going out into industry, into top companies, into top, all sectors of the society, and giving that boost, which will hopefully over the years make a big impact. So that's my way. Can I teach the right values? Can I inculcate the right skill sets so that these people do amazingly well in their careers? They should earn well. There's no two ways about it, but keep giving back. And I think that's the essence of universal school. And now we have just been announced that we're going to become a university. So we are going to become a full-fledged university, which will allow us to try out multidisciplinary education other than business. So design, law, humanities, liberal arts, and so on.
Wonderful. Congratulations for that. Great. Again, Ji, it's time for a short break. Let's go for a break. We'll be shortly back and we'll continue our discussion in the last segment. When you talk about skill sets, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੜੀ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਗ੍ਰਿਟ ਡਿਟਰਮੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਹੋਣ ਲਈ। ਪਰ ਅਗੇਨ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਸਕਿੱਲ ਸੈਟਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਨੂੰ ਅਡਾਪਟ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਵੀ ਜਨਰਲੀ ਸੇ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਡੋਂਟ ਹੈਵ ਐਨੀ ਕੈਪੀਟਲ ਇਨ ਟੂਡੇਜ਼ ਵਰਲਡ ਯੂ ਕੈਨੋਟ ਸਕਸੀਡ। But yours is a different example, like you have mentioned. But along with that, what all youngsters need to know to be successful in business, we'll talk all about this after the short break.
ਪਰ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਨਿੱਜੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਸੁਨਹਿਰੀ ਪਲ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਜੀਵਨ ਬਤੀਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਦ ਕਿਸੇ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨੂੰ ਸਜੇ ਹੋਏ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਬਦਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ। ਨਵੇਂ ਘਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਰੇਮਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਨਿਸ਼ਿੰਗ ਤੱਕ, ਡ੍ਰੇਪਰੀ, ਪੇਂਟਿੰਗਸ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਡੈਕੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਅਸੈਸਰੀਜ਼ ਤੱਕ, ਤੁਸੀਂ SK ਹੋਮ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੁਪਨਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਹਕੀਕਤ 'ਚ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ 6048259295।
ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ? ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਓਨਰ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਉਦਾਹਰਨ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਾਰ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਖ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਸਰੀ ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲੋੜ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜੀਂਦੇ ਟਰੱਕਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗਾਈਡੈਂਸ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸਪੇਸ, ਮੋਡੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਫਿਊਲ ਐਫੀਸ਼ੀਐਂਸੀ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਟਰੱਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਟੌਰ।
ਵੈਨਕਾਸਾ ਟਾਈਲ ਅਤੇ ਸਟੋਨ ਸ਼ੋਰੂਮ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਟਾਈਲਸ, ਸਟੋਨ, ਮਾਰਬਲ, ਬੈਕਸਪਲੈਸ਼, ਮੋਜ਼ੇਕ ਆਦਿ ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਟਾਲੀਅਨ, ਸਪੈਨਿਸ਼, ਚਾਈਨੀਜ਼, ਪੋਰਸਲਨ ਜਾਂ ਸਿਰੈਮਿਕ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਜਾਂ ਮਾਰਬਲ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਆਰਡਰ ਤੇ ਜਾਂ ਕਲੀਅਰੈਂਸ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਮਾਲਕ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਇੰਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਜਿਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ 1304 84 ਐਵਨਿਊ ਸਰੀ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 604 330 7363 604-330-7363। ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ। ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਉਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗੀ ਹਨ AMC Insurance. If you're looking for home, auto, travel, business, life or recreational insurance, they have 9 branches in the lower mainland to serve you and they're open 7 days a week. ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 6045076666 604 507 6666। ਸਾਡੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗੀ ਹਨ ਅਗਨੀਹੋਤਰੀ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ। ਟੈਂਪਰੇਰੀ ਸਟੇਟਸ PR, ਨਵੇਂ ਹੋ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ, ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਸਪਾਂਸਰ ਕਰਨੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਜਾਂ ਗ੍ਰੈਂਡ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਲੈਣੀ ਰਿਗਾਰਡਿੰਗ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ, ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰੋ ਨੀਰਾ ਅਗਨੀਹੋਤਰੀ ਨਾਲ। 2006 ਤੋਂ ਸਰਟੀਫਾਈਡ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੰਸਲਟੈਂਟ ਵਜੋਂ ਇਹ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਓਨੈਸਟ ਤੇ ਰਿਲਾਇਬਲ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇਣ ਦਾ ਵਾਅਦਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 6045972284 604 597 2284। ਅੱਜ ਬੜੀ ਮਾਣ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ, ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਤਰੁਣਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਆਨੰਦ ਜੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਅੱਛੀ ਸ਼ਖਸੀਅਤ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਕਾਮਯਾਬੀ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਹਾਸਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਦੋ ਤਿੰਨ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਫੜ ਲੈਣੀਆਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਓਵਰਨਾਈਟ ਸਕਸੈਸ ਦਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਰਨੀ ਨੂੰ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਡੈਸਟੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ 'ਤੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਫੋਕਸ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਬਟ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਵਰਕ ਐਥਿਕਸ, ਇੰਟੈਗਰਿਟੀ, ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ। ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਲੋੜ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। So Tarunji, like you were mentioning before the break, you have given some ingredients for success being in business. Generally when I talk to people in India, it's said that the environment over there is not good, conducive for business now. There's a lot of competition, there's a lot of corruption, there are this and that, and you require capital to succeed. What are your views? What do you teach to your students in this school which you have established?
So our philosophy is also learning by doing, as opposed to teaching. Let them do the subject. So I see when we used to ride our cycles, we didn't go through any books before we ride. We got on the cycles, got ourselves balanced, and then moved on. And that then remains with us even 20 years later. If you don't ride a cycle, you can get to it. So our entire philosophy is that how can we make the first pillar we look at is communication, right? That's, if you can't communicate today, all the corporations, all the businessmen, you're communicating with your teams, you're communicating with your leadership, you're communicating with your customers, you're communicating with your colleagues and the market as large. So getting that one thing, that's without that you're not going to be successful. So just work on that. All forms of communication, of course the personal ones are going to be the most important as the businesses move towards the whole tech world and the AI, artificial intelligence world. So communication is number one. Then the most important thing, why will people hire you? Why will anybody want you? It's because you're going to solve problems. So that problem solving mindset needs to be inculcated, because everybody will come and say ye problem hai, ye problem hai. You have to go and say ye solution hai, ya ye try karenge. So that is the fundamental area. Then because we are no one is an island, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਖੁਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, so you have to rely on people.
Delegate.
So working with teams, and absolutely right, delegation. So you've got to make sure that you are personable. People should like you, right? Why should people want to work with you if you're trying to be too arrogant? That doesn't work. Post COVID, that world is dead. You need empathy, you need compassion, you need people to if you're a leader tomorrow, you need to become a servant leader. I'm here for you. And that will be seen by the people around you, and they'll go the mile, the extra mile for you. So those are some of the things. Of course, with COVID, everything has changed. So adaptability, flexibility, resilience, the ability to take those beatings and be standing up. And that comes from sports, right? That sportsman spirit. You've got to brush yourself up and say, let me do it in a better way, a different way, a more effective way. So these are some of the things, of course, which will make a big difference to your career.
The world is changing at a fast pace, and especially right now, what we are seeing with the Ukraine war going on, the COVID again resurfacing, and people still under the shock of COVID. Markets are tumbling, and foreign exchange, as you've been a specialist in that also. Could you just give some advice to the common person? They are a bit concerned, what's happening to our money? and the way things are happening, a recession, talks of recession are being talked about Europe, or whether it is United States or Canada. What would be your advice to a common person from your experience as to how should they handle this kind of situation?
So, the first thing which when COVID hit every part of the world, the first thing is, how do I manage myself first? How do I keep within my norms? So don't extend yourself. Don't cut down on wasteful expenditures. Make sure that you're conserving. And if you have something in the bank, make sure it's. I know the 401ks is going down with the US market, but find more safe havens. If you have an opportunity to invest in outside, do that. In emerging economies like India, of course, is doing far better than the rest of the world. In fact, it's the most high performing market. But I'm not a market. I won't give you market advice. There are better people served for that. So I think that's first yourself, and then your family. Just make sure that safety is there, because when things are going down, first safety first, right? That's the
Absolutely.
principle.
Yeah.
And I think if you're a business, you're try and do small experiments. I call it the 70-20-10 principle. 70% of your business is your core business. Focus on it. Cash is generated from there. 20% is do incremental, innovations which will help you grow that new ideas, new products, new prices. And then 10% has to be done tinkering in new areas, which might tomorrow be the big businesses, which might take over that 70%, which is we've seen with the rapid pace of technology, businesses can be, shaken up. So, this would be a business thing. For a common man, it is just brace yourself. It's going to be a little longer of a hard winter. We're hoping that Mr. Putin will realize that he's not going to win, and he's talking of coming back to the table. So we're all hopeful that if that happens, things will rapidly change for the Europe as well as for the United States.
Right.
It's geopolitics. China is playing its own game, and US is stalemating them. So this is you've seen the good times. Be ready for the bad times as well.
Some bumps are
And
there,
they
so
won't
be ready
last
for
long.
that. Oh, of course.
They won't last long.
Nothing
sure.
lasts forever, and of course, this is a cyclical trend, and that we shall also pass by. Wonderful. Okay, let's talk a little bit about yourself now. Again, Tarun ji, आम तौर पे होता है कि when, for example, in the youngsters, what we are finding out is to fit in. Many times, as I'm just talking from the Sikh perspective now, we see you in Dastar as a handsome Sikh. When you started off in your career, ਅੱਜ ਕੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੀ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜੀ ਕਿ ਵੈਸੇ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਟ ਟੂ ਫਿਟ ਇਨ ਵੀ ਆਰ ਰੈਡੀ ਟੂ ਲੀਵ ਆਰ ਫੇਥ ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਜਸਟ ਬੀ ਅ ਪਾਰਟ ਆਫ ਇਟ what kept you grounded to your faith, and we see you as the Dastar Sikh, and wherever you go you rather become a different person over there who is looked up to?
So yeah, those challenges came. Those racist attacks have had enough and more. But it was, in fact, it was more. It actually solidified my faith. And so wherever I went, I said, celebrate the difference. Right? We look different. We come, and I would go extra miles with my colleagues also. Initially, would look at you because I was the only Sardar in the foreign exchange market. And then when in New York, I was the only FX guy in Treasury, Sardar. So I looked different. So I would go out, and those were the most amazing conversations. When we went out for dinners or lunches, I'll tell them about Sikhism, the glory of our gurus and what they've done, and why the origin of the religion happened. We were protectors, we were Sardars, we were leaders. And so this. In the earlier days, there were no crowns, and our gurus gave us the best gift. They gave every Sikh a crown. I mean, made us kings, and there was no, up and down that yours, because India at that point went through a caste system. So it was equality for all, and that kind of respect. Everybody eyes open up, and they're like, "Wow, we did not know this."
Right.
And so we have to do that. to that extent, but I think those conversations stuck with them, and I made such great relationships with the Americans or the Europeans or the Asians wherever I went, or the South Americans, and they remember those stories. So you've got the best thing. You will stand out in the crowd. You will be the one. This is a phenomenal opportunity. People come dapper. You go to these Oscars and people are wearing all these fancy things to stand out. You've
Right.
got it naturally.
Absolutely.
Vaiguji has given you that phenomenal. You've got turban.
The
You don't
grandeur
need to
is there,
stand out. Just
Absolutely.
it's there. It's just for the taking. So take it, and believe you me, you will stand out, and that is the most important thing. In a crowd of 100,
Oh, yeah.
500, you'll be the one standing out, and that's who you will get noticed more, and that's what you want in your career.
Very true. Rather than fitting in, you have your own identity, and if you are proud of that, and if you know about it, then definitely you are singled out, and you are looked upon. That what is it in you that makes you different from others? Wonderful. Tarunji, if I may ask you, what are you most proud of? What would that be?
Just 2 months ago, I was on. It was a 20-year dream. So I was at Everest Base Camp, which
Wow.
was a long dream. And at my age, and with a little weak knees, I was very, very thrilled to make it and make it back. So that was a great achievement, which was just a few months ago. So that is on top of my. But I think that building of an institution from scratch, literally from land to having thousands of graduates, I think to me that's my it's a huge responsibility that I have had the opportunity Vaiguruji has given me.
Right.
So it's a great opportunity to make good in the world.
Any regrets?
uh, uh,
I'm kidding you off
no.
guard, because we were
No,
never
I know.
prepared questions
I'm
and we
telling
just
you.
throw it out at our guests.
No, it's a good one. Okay. So I think early on in my career, I should have taken more care of my health, although I'm fit. But I think I could have done more on the fitness side, and I could have done more part, and that's what I try and make up now. So thanking the Lord at every moment, I could have done 10x of that, which I did
Right.
not do. So that's those would be the two minor, minor no major health and shukrana.
Right. Gratitude. Always been a state of gratitude, no doubt. And what about your family? Do you get enough time to spend with your family?
During COVID, it was spectacular because we were all on campus and there was nobody there, so it was great. But now my campus is outside Mumbai and they are
Right.
there, so we spend weekends together. But I've made it a point that we go on holidays together at least 2-3 times a year. And like this is a winter break, so they are with me here, so we get a lot of time together. But yeah, that is the one. If you say regret, I wish I could give them a little more
More
time.
time. Right. And are you getting any of your child also towards in this business of yours?
They're too small yet, so they
Okay.
are a few years away. But
Right.
I leave it to them. If they enjoy this, great.
Excellent. It's been a pleasure talking to you. In conclusion, if you would like to give any message further on.
I would just put it again, reiterate with a phrase which I use a lot. The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. So
Absolutely.
just keep going at it, and you'll be surprised how the pathways open up. And the वो कहते हैं ना, खुदा बंदे से पूछे बोल तेरी रजा है क्या.
रजा क्या है वाह बहुत खूब बहुत खूब Tarundeep ji, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time and we pray for your further success and ਇਸੀ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਫੈਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਤੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਬਦੀਲੀ ਲਿਆਉਂਦੀ ਰਹੋ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਹੋਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੋਈ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੀ ਹੋਏ ਤੇ ਐਨੀ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ ਔਰ ਐਨੀ ਵੇਅਰ ਦੇ ਕੈਨ ਗੈਟ ਹੋਲਡ ਆਫ ਯੂ
You can go to universalbusinessschool.com, and I'm available on all social media platforms. So
Right.
you can reach out to me. Tarun Anand is the short form of Tarundeep Singh Anand. So you'll find me on all social media platforms.
Excellent ji. Once again, thank you very much and best wishes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sat Sri Akal.
Sat Sri Akal ji. Thank you. ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਤਰੁਣਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਆਨੰਦ, ਇੱਕ ਉਹ ਪਰਸਨੈਲਿਟੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਜਗਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਨਾਮਵਰ ਸ਼ਖਸੀਅਤ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ। ਅਤੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਤੋਂ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਹਲੀਮੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਏ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਉਸ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕਿ ਕੁਛ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਵਜੂਦ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਲਾਹ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿ ਆਲਵੇਜ਼ ਬੀ ਵਿਲਿੰਗ ਟੂ ਲਰਨ ਸਮਥਿੰਗ, ਕੁਛ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ। ਜਿਸ ਵੀ ਫੀਲਡ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ ਉਸ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਥਾਹ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਹੋਵੇ ਅਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕਰਨੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਮੁਕਾਮ 'ਤੇ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸੋ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ, ਸਮਾਂ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਰ ਰੋਜ਼ ਮੰਡੇ ਟੂ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਉਣੇ। ਐਂਡ ਐਵਰੀ ਡੇ ਆਰ ਫੋਕਸ ਆਫ ਦਿਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਇਜ਼ ਟੂ ਐਜੂਕੇਟ ਯੂ, ਇੰਸਪਾਇਰ ਯੂ ਐਂਡ ਟੂ empower you, and that's why we have different guests from all over the world who come forward and share their life journey and become role models for you. And it's again I'm really blessed to always interact with you guys, and the kind of emails and phone calls and WhatsApp messages that I receive. Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time. If you want to be a part of this program or you want to contact me, you can touch base with me at 604-603-7555, or you can email me at harpreetsingh@gmail.com. ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੀ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ, ਫਿਰ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। Have a safe evening, stay healthy and enjoy yourself, and once again, Happy New Year.